Hello, I'm Lloydetta Quaco. Welcome to Sharing Our Cultures. Today we're going down memory lane with Sue Hao Shu, and she has been involved with Sharing Our Cultures for over 20 years. And we'll be back with that conversation right after this. Hello and welcome to Sharing Our Cultures. Today we're going to go through memory lane with someone who's very special to Sharing Our Cultures, and she's a community leader, and she's Sue Hao Shu. Welcome to Sharing Our Cultures.
Thank you. Very, very nice to be back on the anniversary.
Right, yes, we're celebrating 25 years.
Wow, quarter of a century.
Yes, I know. And to think that you were a part of it, well, in those early stages, right, in various capacities. So tell me what you remember.
Well, I mean, I remember the predecessor of Sharing Our Cultures as my little brother actually took part in a multicultural book and illustration and storytelling project. I believe it was facilitated by yourself.
Yes.
And that was that led into one of the first Sharing Our Cultures. I believe I was a early participant, and I presented on the cultures and origins of Taiwan. And then later on, I took part as the assistant project coordinator when we moved up to the Delta. And then, of course, we ended up in the rooms. I know every year that as the previous leader of the Chinese Association Lion Dance team, I'd had the privilege of bringing the team to participate as part of the opening ceremonies. So it's lots of really good memories, some fantastic connections, and a lot of old friendships that are still active to this day. So lots of good things to take away from it.
Good. Which is great, because I do hear a number of people say when I meet them, they said, oh, well, I met this friend at Sharing Our Cultures and we're still friends, like, you know, 15,
Absolutely.
20 years later.
Yeah, and it's interesting because recently I've actually even branching out in my, we'll call it my day job. In some networking sessions, I've come across a few Sharing Our Cultures alumni, and they've always spoken very highly of the experiences and the opportunities that afforded them in terms of presentation, practicing speaking English, and interacting with the public. So all those skills that they picked up and practiced during the presentation phases of Sharing Our Cultures have certainly paid off for all the alumni I've met.
Yeah, and which is great, because this was actually what we wanted. But way back then, we never really knew how it was going to go, right? It was the idea, as you said, we had the multicultural book publishing project, and your brother participated and shared the culture of Taiwan. And I think that's actually how I got to know the family as well.
Yeah,
I think so, and we got real close then.
Yeah, I think our families go pretty far back on this lovely island.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, this year, this is our 5th season for Sharing Our Cultures on Rogers TV, and we're looking at why people stay in the province.
Okay.
Like, how do they build community? How do they feel a sense of belonging to the degree that they said, oh, I want to make home here? And so when I thought about you, I said, it's been a long time since you've been here.
Yeah.
And I think you came when you were younger with your family.
Without divulging my age, we've spent 30 years in Newfoundland, mostly in the East End, so I'm a very proud townie. I always jokingly tell people I'm a Taiwanese townie, and that seems to resonate very well. I mean, you know, when we first landed here, like the most familiar thing that we saw was the arches of McDonald's, of all things in the world. And then, of course, you know, there's always the temptation of wanting to go to a bigger city where you feel like you can connect with people from your birth culture, just to make you a little more comfortable. But I mean, as we integrated into the Newfoundland community, we realized that the islander mentality of good neighbors, community support, it's very similar to what it feels like being back on the island of Taiwan. So of course, as we grew and our roots took place, and we started becoming more involved in our communities, whether that's through the Chinese Association or the community at large, sports team, music programs, theater programs, arts. There's a lot of branches that we reached out and touched and realized that, you know, this is home. And, you know, there's no reason to pick up and go again, because this is all the joys and comfort and safety that we wanted.
Okay. And did you still have the opportunity of going back to Taiwan or being part of that culture? And
Absolutely,
how did that work
yeah.
out?
So I actually still talk to a couple of my cousins on a daily basis because, you know, technology is a wonderful thing. I mean, back in the early days, you know, it's a long distance phone call that costs you probably $10 a minute. And, you know, now there's WhatsApp, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's so many different types of media available for you to be in constant communication. So it's really interesting to a lot of times reminisce about childhood in Taiwan. And now I'm having parenting conversations with my cousins who've all come up through the same rites of passage as moms and dads. So it's all really good.
Okay. So, of course, in the years pursuing after you finished, well, so you went to junior high school here when you came?
No,
elementary?
I landed in grade 6.
6?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And then you went through the school system?
Yes, I did.
So do you remember what that was like?
Well, I remember first day of grade 6 very, very vividly. Mr. McGrath, if you're here watching this, I still thank you very much to this day. I mean, my first day was, I think I could say hello and my name is, and that's the extent of my language ability in English. So, you know, I have to give a lot of thanks to, once again, Mr. McGrath, who was my grade 6 homeroom teacher at McDonald Drive Elementary School. I also want to recognize Miss Elizabeth Noseworthy, who was a brilliant ESL teacher back then. And I remember making what I thought was really slow progress, but on reflection was actually quite phenomenal because of those two wonderful teachers' helps. So, you know, I went from not being able to speak anything to, I think by the end of the year, I wrote a poem for a friend who was going home to Norway in the ESL language program. And that was actually shared in the school newsletter that I think my mom still has a clip of. So.
Moms tend to keep those things,
yeah,
don't they?
yeah.
The memorabilia.
she seems a little bit proud of that one, and I'm okay with that. So.
Yeah, that was good. And then, of course, you went on to junior high.
Yeah, so I went to McDonald Drive Junior High and then followed by Prince of Wales Collegiate. And I'm a very proud graduate of Memorial University's Bachelor of Commerce and the MBA program.
All right. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. You've made lots of strides and
yeah.
lots of steps.
I'm a Newfoundlander through and through.
Definitely. So when it comes to cuisine, then, do you combine both the Newfoundland and your Taiwanese cuisine?
A little bit of both. I mean, I think when it comes to cuisine and food, you know, as much as we all follow a recipe, like it changes from kitchen to kitchen, from generation to generation. But luckily, my wonderful, loving husband, who's a boy from paradise, is very fond of Taiwanese food, and so are my twin girls. So we have a pretty healthy blend of Newfoundland food, Taiwanese food, and really any other culture that we care to explore, which is most of them. So.
Okay. Oh, that's good. So at least you were grounded and kept here in Newfoundland by love and by motherhood. So
Absolutely.
Tell us about the children.
Oh, well, they're lovely creatures. they're tornadoes in their own right. Lots of personality, but they certainly take after the best part of me, my husband, and I can also see traits of their grandparents on both sides in them as well. They're kind, they're strong-willed, and they're very curious. So all good things that I think are very healthy in young children. And you know, every time I look at them, I see faces I've only seen in photograph, which is very interesting when it comes to, I guess, how genetics have expressed themselves. Because my oldest daughter by all of 2 minutes, because I have twin girls, she looks just like my dad's mom, who I unfortunately never met because she passed away when my dad was in high school. But if you look at the photos, her profile looks just like her. So it's so interesting how love and history repeat themselves in our lives when you hold on to the things that matter and keep them close.
Right. And of course they will get to learn about their grandparents and great-grandparents that they didn't have an opportunity to meet.
Yeah, and we do our best to try to keep them educated in a bilingual household. It's a little bit tricky sometimes because I'm the only Mandarin/Taiwanese speaker in the house, but they have a regular Sunday routine where they go to grandma's, so they get to interact with their two cousins, and grandma always speaks to them either Mandarin or Taiwanese. So even though they won't have a full conversation with me in Mandarin or Taiwanese, they know how to back talk in 3 languages when the time counts.
It's amazing how quickly they learn that.
They do,
Yes.
yeah. I had a conversation with Mom and we were discussing something, and my younger child looked up at me and said, "Don't talk to me like I'm not here." She's going to be 5 in a few weeks, so I have a lot of content with come teenage years, so I'm preparing myself for that.
That's right. These are the beginnings of
yes.
things. But did you say that in English or in Taiwanese?
She said that to me in English, but she
okay.
clearly understood what we were discussing.
Exactly.
So I was like, all right, well, you know, my takeaway is that you knew what we were saying, so I'll keep the good part.
It's usually said that when they learn another language, they tend to understand it first, like they know what you're saying, and sometimes they're a little hesitant in speaking it. So when parents seem to think that they'll speak the language that they think the children are not going to understand, and then the children come home and says, "I know what you were talking about."
Yep. And honestly, from personal experience of learning English, that's exactly how it is, that I could comprehend, but I didn't feel comfortable or confident or still had that inherent fear that maybe I might be making a mistake by opening my mouth. But I'm glad to see that my kids certainly don't have that fear.
Right, well, because they're perfectly into dual, maybe multilingual homes by now, and they've learned how to cope with that and
For sure.
and work.
Yeah, we've actually we're fortunate enough that they were successfully enrolled in the French stream in their upcoming kindergarten.
Oh, okay.
And we pitched it to them as a you know, if you go and learn French, you can have a secret language that mom and dad can't understand. They don't need to know that I speak a little bit of French, but that's okay. That's how we pitched it. That's how they're excited about it. And I mean, so far their exposure to the French kindergarten program has been excellent. We're really excited from the start school.
Okay, great. So they've been to the Kinderstart?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, and they love that. Well, that's it. I thought the Kinderstart was the best thing
Here we go.
in the school system, because once they buy into that, it's like, I'm ready to go.
Excellent, yeah.
Get purchasing my backpacks and
100%.
sneakers and whatever I need to get ready for school. So that's really great. I think getting the opportunity for them to learn French as well is exciting. So now you got to brush up, and your husband have to brush up on your French.
Yep. I mean, we think of it as that maybe we could learn along with them.
Yes.
So, you know, either way, we'll meet it and grow together. So
Yeah.
it's going to be really exciting.
I think it will, and it'll probably kind of bring the family together too on that particular language as well, because then they'll see Mandarin or Taiwanese as well as English as blending together. In every
I have lofty goals and dreams of multilingual Scrabble. We'll see how that goes in the house.
Ooh, all right, yes. Okay, well, hold that thought, and Sharing Our Cultures will be right back.
Your opinion matters, and we want to hear from you. Get in touch with us using our viewer feedback line, your direct connection to shaping the shows you love. It's easy. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code on your screen, and take our quick survey. Share your thoughts, and let's make your viewing experience even better.
And welcome back to Sharing Our Cultures, and we're going to continue this conversation with Sue Hao. Yes, just before we went to break, we were talking about the children and them learning. They're going to be multilingual in your home. But when I think back of when you came here as a young child, and the community was such that it made it a little easier for you to feel at home, to feel welcome, to be integrated into the society. So tell us a bit about what that was like.
Yeah, so I mean, when we first landed here, we came here in the summer, so we went through the fall and the winter of Newfoundland. As my love for the first snowflake still hasn't faded, but my love for shoveling has decreased significantly in the 30 years here. But we were very fortunate. There's a Chinese association here locally, and the members are made of descendants who are from various parts of the world influenced by Chinese culture. So I believe there were Malaysian Chinese, there were Singapore Chinese, there was second, third generation Chinese here in the province. So everyone had gathered with the association with the works of and goals of keeping the heritage alive, giving everyone a platform to socialize and reconnect. So, you know, it was really, really great to be able to celebrate the Spring Festival and be in the presence of people who understand what that holiday is and have an appreciation for it. Because in the early days, I think the concept of sharing holidays from other cultures here still wasn't that prevalent in the school system. I mean, these days, you know, like I see notes that, you know, my nephews who are older than my girls are celebrating Holi and other holidays from across the cultures, and they, you know, they're sent home with a supply list so they can learn about it. But back in those days, it was still a pretty exclusive. You know, you have to turn to members of your birth community to kind of get that opportunity to celebrate as a group. So having the association has certainly made a huge difference. And then of course, it's the social network for my mom, who had taken on the very arduous task of being here, basically raising myself and my brother by herself. So, you know, when I was younger, I didn't necessarily appreciate that as the kind of commitment and sacrifice that it is. But now, as a mom who, you know, after spending 2 days alone with my 2 kids without any other support is enough to tear out my hair. I don't know how she managed to do that in a new culture of trying to brush up her own language, trying to educate 2 children on how to understand the obstacles and getting the skills and the language and the basically just understanding how the society works here and how it compares and differs from what we came from, managing all of that, and without her own community to support her. So there's certainly a lot of challenges there that I didn't see as a child that I now appreciate. And, you know, I really have to say, like, everything that's good about me comes from my mom, and she's incredible.
Yes. I've met her, and I can agree to that.
Yeah.
She's an
Force of
incredible
nature.
woman.
Yeah.
She's an incredible woman. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but then over time, you received from the community, but you also gave back by serving in various capacities within that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was sort of my pleasure to. I started volunteering with the association when I was 14, I believe, and I'm still kind of involved with it, just not officially in the capacity as an executive committee member. But I went from, I think, coat check person, because that's where everybody starts. And I went through most of the position in the executive as secretary, as the treasurer, vice president. And I also had the honor of being the youngest president of the association for a few years. And the big project that I personally really enjoyed was getting the opportunity to lead the association's line dance team for some time. So that was that was like the biggest piece of outreach and education that we could do. So I know we partnered with Sharing Our Cultures several times as part of the opening programs for many years, but also the line dance team members would, when we're available, also do performances in schools as arranged by our members. And it's always been a really positive experience. You know, the kids love seeing the lions. The drums and the music are taught to us orally by a previous generation. We've received some funding in the past for official training from a master of the art before. So a lot of it is it's upkept by committed, passionate people that want to keep exploring this art. And it's not something that would have been afforded to me had I stayed in Taiwan. So certainly an interesting way to get exposed and learn and get the privilege of passing down another art form associated with my culture.
Which is great, because I think your mom was able to almost perfectly balance the culture here and your traditional culture, because you still had such a love for your own birth culture, as well as the culture that, well, your new culture that now you've embraced as your home culture.
Absolutely. But I think it's easy to do because Taiwanese and Newfoundland and Labradorians they're friendly, they're helpful. Like, you know, and in the years that I've immigrated here, I've also done a fair bit of traveling around the world as a student and as a professional. I've never quite met people like Newfoundlanders, and that are willing to open their homes, open their hearts, support you any way possible. And it's really similar to how it feels to be home in Taiwan. So it's 2 islands very far apart, but at the core we're very similar people. So I think that's why it was so easy to understand that there is a home that I can make here and stay here and keep building it.
Okay. And I think as well you were able to be involved in sports, I think, when you were at school, and music.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, the arts community in Newfoundland has been fantastic. So, in my school days, I did some choir and band, so had exposure in both in some performance arts, and then that sort of led to some public speaking, which I guess draw me towards the business side of things. But these days, I'm almost having an unintentional renaissance. I'm getting the opportunity to explore the arts again, and I'm actually going to be involved in some theatrical projects coming up, so I'm really excited about that.
That's exciting, yes. Okay, great. And but then I remember as well you performing your fan dance and the ribbon dance. I think I still have very vivid memories of those.
That
so
was when I was quite a bit younger. But
Yes.
so you know, when I was still in Taiwan, I was trained in classical Chinese dancing. So part of the presentation I used to do for sharing our cultures is I would bring those dances to life with, like you said, with either fan, ribbons. I think I also possibly did an umbrella dance once.
Yes, I think
Lots
you
of props
yes.
involved.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of classical Chinese dancing is that you like there's a high classic with things like ribbon and fan, which are kind of extensions of Chinese or Peking operas. But umbrellas and other props are more expressions of everyday life. So you know, if it's a rainy day, you bring on an umbrella. There's also farmers dances where you can bring out baskets that you would put tea leaves in. So there's lots of ways available to express yourself artistically through Chinese classical dancing.
All right. So do you see yourself passing this on to the girls and maybe to the younger ones in the community?
I mean, it's certainly something I would like to try. You know, so far my efforts in dance teaching has been limited to the living room for bedtime routines. I mean, you know, the girls have the basics of the twist and headbanging down. We'll see how they take to this particular genre, but there's certainly a lot of resources out there, and it's not just for myself. It's not just classical dancing, right? Like, I mean, I've had the fortune of connecting with members of the Indian community, so I was exposed to a little bit of Bollywood dancing, and I think dance and movement is a universal art that's across all cultures in the world. I mean, you know, like I've seen my in-laws do an absolutely amazing Nufi waltz, and it's something that I try to get my husband to do with me. His two left feet are not quite as graceful as mine, but you know, we're working on it.
Right, yes. Well, it's great because your children can have a blend of both. They can probably learn the Newfoundland tap dancing or jig. And then they can learn the Taiwanese.
Yep. I have this grandiose dream that maybe they would do some ribbon dancing and classical Bollywood dancing, and then maybe they will put on their tap shoes and do a jig with the St. Pat's dancers. I have a lot of goals and visions, but at the end of the day, it depends on what the girls are drawn to.
Yes.
And of course, there's also an amazing choral tradition here in Shallowa Youth Choir and the arts that they do. So. Fingers crossed that the girls might be interested in joining that choir, but again, everything is sort of up in the air right now, and certainly, you know, we have such a wealth of opportunities for them. It's just a question of giving them the chance to be exposed to it and see what draws them, and whatever it is, I will support them.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's what parents do, isn't it? We're the cheerleaders around, and we support them and provide the opportunities for them, and then allow them to walk right through into it.
Sure. Yeah.
You know. I've really enjoyed us having this time together, and even a sit-down conversation we haven't been able to do for a while. But then when you think about the future for your children, what do you have in mind in terms of them getting older, doing things?
I mean, I guess at the end of it, you know, I could have a long list of goals and, you know, aspirations for them. But at the end of the day, I want them to be healthy. I want them to be happy. I want them to know that they're a product of some very hardworking people coming together in love, and that whatever they choose to do, they will always be blessed and there will always be joy. So I hope that they are always happy, and that they know that lots of people worked really hard to get mom and dad here. so that they could be together.
Right, yes. And now the mom and dad are together. There's so much love that's been spread around, not only from mom and dad, but mom and dad's parents as well.
Yes, yeah.
That they're getting. And I think that's so important for children as they grow up, to know that they're accepted, they're loved, and they got parents who are going to do all they could to
Exactly.
make them happy and have a
That they're
happy life.
loved
Right.
exactly as they are.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that I hope also that they understand that the love that they feel should translate into kindness that they pass into their community, and that they will be equipped with the skills to support other people, and that I hope that they will also maybe not stand up, be community leaders in the same way that I have, but that they will step forth and offer service to the community in turn as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today. I really
It's my
appreciate
pleasure.
it. And Sharing Our Cultures will be right back. Thanks to Suhao and to you for watching. Join me again next time for some more interesting stories.